Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Sam Kwok here, one of the Kwok Brothers, and welcome back to your next Stimulus Check News. This is August 18, 2020, Tuesday. Good morning to everybody. Welcome back to your next stimulus news. Now, first thing first, we talked about the unemployment benefit of $300 a week for the last few days, and we just got news today that 18 states have officially committed to take on the plan and to start issuing out $300 unemployment checks. Out of those 18 states, surprisingly, is California. 30 states right now are still analyzing the deal whether they want to take the $300 unemployment benefit or not. 2 states have already declined, one of them being Mississippi and the other state being South Dakota, which the governor of South Dakota came out and said, we don't need the $300 a week unemployment, therefore we're not going to take it. So overall, 18 states have committed to take the $300 unemployment benefit every week, which is signed by President Trump as part of his memorandum series. 30 states are still analyzing, and we can quickly see those states turn into being committed and non-committed throughout the rest of the week. Well, speaking of commitment, you should definitely commit to go and smash the like button on this video. Help us out with our YouTube algorithm. The more you smash the like button, YouTube will promote us even more so that we can get this stimulus video out to as many people as possible. So we'll keep you guys updated as to which states do take the $300 a week unemployment and which states don't. And we'll compile a list so that you know your state's participating in the $300 a week unemployment benefit signed by President Trump. Now, moving on to the next item, which is a reminder that I covered yesterday, which is if you gotten your $1,200 check from the last stimulus round, but if you were short on the check or you didn't get any checks for your dependent, well, the IRS has left their portal open till September 30th to go and claim your check for your dependent. So let's say that you have 2 dependents and you only got $1,200 check, but you qualify for additional $1,000 because you get $500 per each dependent. Well, you can always go back to the IRS portal and request the additional $1,000 that you should have gotten from the original stimulus round. So if you have not gotten those checks, be sure to go to the irs.gov website and get your stimulus check today before September 30th deadline. Now, this is a bit of a breaking news and just came right before I started recording this video, which is Walmart just released their earnings report, attributing to the fact that stimulus did in fact help with their growth and sustaining their sales. It is reported that July itself grew more than 4% when it comes to grocery and general merchandise sales. As stimulus funds tapered off, as we have seen late July, so did the sales start tapering down as well. So Walmart apparently is now attributing stimulus package and stimulus money for their growth and sustaining in their sales. So what Walmart is basically saying is, hey, we need another stimulus package, pass another stimulus bill because it is actually helping the retail business. It's actually helping with the sales. So that's something that Walmart came out and said after they released the earnings report, which is very interesting. Just came out right before I started recording this. Now, moving along, let's go and talk about this whole post office drama that's still going on to this day. Now, for those that really don't understand what's going on with this whole post office drama, here's a quick summary about it and how this is impacting the stimulus package as well as what's happening with the election. Now, 3 months ago, President Trump appointed a new Postmaster General, and this person is in charge of the Postal Service. Now, apparently, this new Postmaster General is a huge fan of President Trump, donated quite a bit of money to President Trump's campaign, and also is trying to cut costs where the post office have been bleeding billions of dollars of money since 2007. So part of the Postmaster General's job was to try to figure out how to make the Postal Service be profitable again. In President Trump's word, he's trying to make the post office great again. So the Postmaster General made significant cuts the last 3 months to try to keep the post office profitable without bleeding money. Well, the Democrat senators and the lawmakers are not a big fan of this because they don't want to see the post office suffer through, especially when it comes to counting mail-in voting. And the Democrats want a universal mail-in ballot, which means that all Americans that qualify to vote would vote essentially through the mail. And obviously we talked about the issue with this yesterday with the fact that a lot of times what we've seen in the last round of stimulus, even the stimulus package, people who are apparently dead and people who don't qualify for the stimulus package and stimulus check, they were still getting the $1,200 check. So as a specific example, some reported that their dead relatives were getting the $1,200 check, which obviously is not a good thing. So the question at hand is if the same error would occur to mail-in ballots, would that cause a large potential for fraudulent voting? There's even situations in other countries, I talked about this yesterday, where homeless people were selling their ballots to other people. So we had individuals that were buying ballots from homeless people, casting 10 votes, right, with the homeless people's ballots, and essentially skewing the election results. So obviously those are potential outcomes for election fraud and how universal mail-in ballots could actually lead to detrimental results when it comes to the election. So all in all, tying this back to the post office, basically lack of funding could mean that there's not enough staff and not enough people to process the mail-in voting, whether it's selective mail-in ballot or universal mail-in ballot. Now, President Trump came out and said, hey, I'm totally cool with absentee mail-in voting, which means that a person can select and choose to vote via mail. But he is absolutely against the universal mail-in ballot for the same reasons that I just described. There could be a lot of potential for fraud. So with that being said, the Democrat lawmakers are not happy with the cuts because obviously that means less staff processing mail-in ballots. And if the Democrat senators and their lawmakers, if their plan is to institute a universal mail-in ballot, well, that sure wouldn't work out if there's not enough people processing the mail-in ballot. So that's why the Democrat senators and lawmakers are not a big fan of this whole cuts that are making to the post office. Now, just like what I said yesterday, this is not about the post office. It is definitely not about the post office. What this is it's a threat against the election. So that's why the lawmakers are like, oh my gosh, we don't want this to be an issue with our election. We're about to lose our seats. Therefore, we're going to call an emergency meeting to make sure that we pass this new bill called Delivering for America Act. Which again, yesterday I pointed out the fact that none of the lawmakers said, hey, let's come back to Washington, D.C. and pass a stimulus bill. But when it comes to something that definitely affects the election, they're all like, hey, we need to come back and work this out. So you guys get what I mean there. But anyways, if the bill were to pass, the Delivering for America Act, this bill will make all the cuts reversible back to the January numbers. So whatever was happening in January, whatever operational numbers were in place in January, this bill will make it reverse, kind of like a backup back to January if this bill were to get passed. Now, the Republican senators and some of the spokespersons are saying, hey, we're okay with additional funding for the post office. We're totally cool with $25 billion as long as you're cool with us passing the stimulus package. So that's the current status right now when it comes to stimulus package. We may see some of the stimulus item pass this week. We don't know. I don't want to be clickbaity with this stuff, but we may see some potential for a stimulus package being passed this week or early next week if the Republicans and Democrat senators can come together and say, you know what? Fine, we'll let you add $25 billion in the post office funding, but let's go ahead and pass the stimulus package. So with that being said, that's the latest update right now for you guys for the stimulus package. If you guys enjoyed this update so far, be sure to subscribe to our channel because we're going to have some more updates tomorrow. We're going to go and come back and talk about the drama. How is this whole post office thing playing out? Are there going to be a stimulus package by the end of the week? Well, if you want those answers, you definitely have to come back for tomorrow's update. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's update.